Hi everyone, it's Karen Bentley here with the Recovery Superpower channel, where we revolutionize the recovery process by giving you the inspiration, the information, and the tools to transform any dependency into a superpower, and we do it together. That's what makes it so exciting, so innovative, so creative. Today we're going to be talking about mindfulness. What the darn carn is it? How is it going to help you in the recovery process? And what's the best way to do it? I've got 5 great techniques for you. But before we do that, I'd like to quickly remind you that I'm the author of this super book, The Power to Stop. It's a 30-day program for ending any dependency, or alternatively, it's 30 great ideas for stopping yourself. You can get it at Amazon or any bookstore, and I'll put the link in the description below. So mindfulness, what is it? As it turns out, this is one of those vague terms that means different things to different people. I took a random poll of 7 or 8 experts, and I got 7 or 8 different ideas on what mindfulness is. And I think we need to come to some common agreement to what it is before we can really figure out how to put it to work in our lives. So here we go with the experts' definitions of mindfulness. The first one is, mindfulness is the opposite of avoiding. Mindfulness is observing of self. Mindfulness is clarity of mind. Mindfulness is peace of mind. Mindfulness is making healthy choices. Mindfulness is self-forgetting and not being self-absorbed. And mindfulness is relief from stress. And I think those are all great definitions of mindfulness. I'm not judging any of them, but they're not my definition. My definition of mindfulness is awareness of your thoughts, awareness of your words and how you say them, and awareness of how you behave. It's very much in sync with Bruce Lee's definition, the famous martial artist who's no longer on this planet. He says, be self-aware rather than a repetitious robot. That's Bruce Lee. So self-aware, awareness of thoughts, words, tone, actions, and repetitious robot. This is what makes being so self-awareness so very hard. We should be easily conscious of our thoughts, words, and acts, but we're not, because we have this robot inside us who takes over and who will do our life tasks, especially the ones we don't want to do or the ones that we find boring. And then we can put our consciousness someplace else that's more interesting and more distracting. So, for example, have you ever had the experience of leaving your house as a driver in your car and you get to someplace else and you don't know how you got there? The robot took over and put the foot on the gas and put the foot on the brake and turn the wheel and put the directional signal on, and you were in La La Land someplace else. Or here's a little more risque one. Have you ever had the experience of your partner wanting sex and you not really wanting it, but you didn't want to make a big deal of it, so you did it and you let the robot do it and you solved the problems of your work and planned your next day and just got over with, so that you didn't have to, really interact. You just let the robot do it. That's the robot taking away from our consciousness. I have a couple of real life experiences to share with you. One came from a woman in one of my love seminars, and we were talking about becoming more aware of ways in which we're not loving. And she relayed an experience of a phone conversation with her husband that inadvertently got recorded. It was on one of those old voicemail recording devices. In the olden times, you had to click it on and click it off with buttons. And her husband called, and she picked up the phone and she forgot to turn off the recording device. So her whole conversation got recorded with her husband, and she thought she was being assertive. She thought she was having a strong conversation. She thought that, she was just sticking up for herself and what she wanted. And her husband was furious, and he was fed up with her, and she couldn't understand why until she played the recording back, and then she heard herself. She heard the words she used. She heard the tone she used. She heard and felt her own aggression, which she did not feel when she was delivering it, but she sure felt it when she was receiving it. And for the first time, she was aware of her thoughts, her words, her tone, her acts. It was a mind opener. She was horrified. I had a similar horrifying experience. This was years and years and years ago. And when my son was a little guy, and I used to dread taking him to the grocery store because he would take that cart and run around with it. And I thought I was being a good mom and a responsible mom and, getting him to not terrorize the other shoppers. And one day this elderly woman came up to me and she said, dear, and she was really very kind. I mean, she didn't have a mean tone in her voice or anything. And she said, dear, I'm sure you don't realize how harsh you sound. I was like, no, I did not realize I sounded harsh. It was really a surprise to me. I was not conscious of my thoughts, my words, my tone, my acts. It was completely unconscious. So you can see how this lack of consciousness and this robot really gets in our way and presents a challenge in our day-to-day lives. And especially if you're dealing with any kind of dependency or habit that you don't want. You have a lot of robot interaction going on here, a lot of repetitious behavior, repetitious uncreative behavior that would be so helpful if you became more conscious of. So that's what mindfulness is going to do for you. It's going to zoom you in to what you're doing, what you're thinking, how you're saying things. And that awareness could be enough to bring about a stopping of the behavior. It could be enough. Or more likely, it might just be another tool in your bag of tricks that you use to stop yourself. But either way, it's going to be helpful. Maybe you get the whole Megillah, or maybe you just get partway there. But either way, it's still a good thing, okay? So I've got 5 ideas for you, 5 of the easiest and most potent practices for becoming more mindful. I'm just going to go through them quickly with you. The first one is journaling. Journaling is getting yourself a notebook. I mean, you can spend $2.98 in Walmart or the dollar store and get a really cheap notebook, and you write down what you're thinking in that notebook. Once a day, you write down if you're happy, if you're sad, if you're guilty, if you're shameful, if you feel betrayed, if you feel stuck, if you feel, confused, whatever you're feeling, you put it down in the journal. And the idea is that you're not avoiding anything, you're not hiding anything, you're not pretending, you're not judging, you're just having your life experience and you're looking at it objectively. You don't judge yourself. You don't have to judge yourself. You just have to have the experience of being real to yourself. And this is why it's so important that a journal is always private. You don't share it with your friends or your significant other. It's just for you. It's just for your eyes. You don't need someone to coach you. You can do this yourself. You don't need someone to tell you if what you're feeling is good or bad or okay or not okay. You can do this yourself. You are giving yourself your own awareness. Nobody else can be aware for you. This is just for you. So it's private. Very important to keep it private. Do it once a day. When you get up is very convenient, or before you go to bed, or if you have a consistent break time in your day. Again, it doesn't have to be a big investment of time. It just has to be when you can, tune into yourself and write down what you're feeling. And that's all there is to it. Try it for a month. See how it works. I really want to know. Tell me. Okay, the second tool is meditating. And I'm saying with a D, meditating, not medicating with a C. Meditating is the process of stilling your mind, connecting with the divine, and accessing wisdom, peace, clarity, power, stillness. When you are meditating, you are literally teaching yourself to sit still and do nothing. This is enormously helpful to you because you're busy doing whatever, your robotic behavior. And if you can do nothing for a moment, you can break that pattern. You have the wherewithal to break that pattern. To do nothing is your greatest life skill. And you learn it from meditating. You also access power, access wisdom, access clarity. I mean, it's all invisible, but you get it in spades with meditating. There are many different ways to meditate. I'm not judging any of them. Whatever feels right to you is going to work. Whatever is in your path might be the thing for you. I personally have a preference, and I have described that preference in another video, which I will put in the description below so you can watch it. It is one where I give myself a short directive phrase that I repeat over and over again. Number one, it's in English, so it's clear and I can understand it. Number two, it tells me what I want. It reminds me what I want. Number three, it uplifts me. Number four, it trains my mind. Number five, I'm being still. I'm calming myself down. So, there's so much going on with just this one little simple practice. Again, you don't have to use my technique. Pick any technique that appeals to you, and just have the experiment. See what you get from it. I get a lot from it. I really do. It's a practice in my life, and I highly recommend it just for learning to do nothing. If nothing else, if you don't buy into any of the other stuff, you're learning how to do nothing, and it's the most important skill and the hardest skill you'll ever teach yourself. So try that. The third technique is just time alone with self. Take 5 or 10 minutes every day to tune into yourself. No devices, no TV, no reading, no friends, no phone, no nothing. Just time with you to just sit in stillness and have whatever thoughts you want to have. You're not meditating, you're just connecting to yourself. You could sit, you could walk, whatever makes sense in your life, but you're concentrating on yourself. Where are you? What are you trying to do? What's bothering you? What's bringing you joy? It's kind of like journaling, but not writing it down. So you're just taking some time to connect with yourself. This is the easiest way to do this, but it might be the least potent. But it's a start, and you got to start someplace. So if that's what appeals to you, try that. It will do something for you at least. The fourth technique is to zoom in on the habit or the behavior that you that's making you crazy, the reason you're here, the thing that's making you crazy. So what you're going to do is add something ridiculous before you do the behavior. Add some ridiculous step. You're going to give yourself permission to do the behavior, but you're going to add a ridiculous, silly step in front of it. So let's say you're a binge eater, and before you get up, when you get up to go to the kitchen, you're going to take a slight detour, and you're going to go to the front door, and you're going to open it and shut it, and then you're going to go give yourself permission to binge eat. Or let's say you're a binge drinker. You're going to give yourself permission to binge drink, but before you do it, you're going to rub your face. Something silly and stupid. You're going to rub your face, and then you're going to go binge drink. Or let's say you watch a lot of porn. You're going to give yourself permission to watch the porn, but before you do it, you're going to go to your coat closet, put on a hat, and take it off. So it's the idea of having awareness that you want to do something and slightly delaying and interrupting it by adding another behavior in front of it, something silly that doesn't mean anything, but just so that you're giving yourself awareness. You're giving yourself awareness that you know when you want to do something. That's awareness. And you're giving yourself awareness that you can interrupt it. That's power. That's power, baby. So think about that. It's kind of fun. Try it for 30 days. You be the experiment. Report below in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And lastly, my last idea for you to become more mindful of your thoughts, words, and acts is to practice one extreme self-care act per day, every day of your life. One extreme self-care. Extreme self-care is taking care of yourself in a way that you can't miss, that can't be denied, that is just too obvious, that is just a big thing that you do for yourself every day. And that big thing says, I love me. It says, I adore me. I take care of me. I'm important. I'm worthy. It says all those things. And excuse me, all those things are really important. So it can be anything. It could be, excuse me, it could be exercising. So let's say you do 25 push-ups. Sorry about that, folks. It could be 25 push-ups or 25 sit-ups or whatever seems extreme to you. Maybe that's too much. Maybe that's not enough. But you make... Oh, sorry. I'll have to keep some water by for future broadcasts. But anyways, you pick an exercise and you do it every day religiously. That's one example of extreme care. Another example of extreme care is possibly extreme self-grooming. You never let yourself go outside unless you're sparkly clean and made up if that's something you do, and dressed carefully and neatly if that, if you're out with the public. So maybe that's how you demonstrate extreme self-care. Or maybe it's in how you live. Maybe you make your bed perfectly and you clean your room and you don't have any clothes laying around. Or maybe it's in how you cook. Maybe you take greater care in preparation in how you cook and present things and eat things. So you can pick anything as an example of extreme self-care, some way that you are attending to yourself that you can't miss, that says, I love me, and do that. So those are my 5 ideas for you to act on to become more mindful. Pick one. Pick the one that you like the best. Do it. It could be journaling, meditating, time for self, interrupting your behavior with something silly, or extreme self-care. Do it. Let me know below. If you like this content, smash the like button. Please consider subscribing if you'd like me to show up on your YouTube homepage when you sign in to the app. And I'll see you next week. I do a video every Thursday. Bye for now.